Thanks for downloading Pave the Way Podcast. On this show, your host, Greg Helbeck, interviews the top minds in real estate, business, and personal development to help you crack the code so you can grow your business and, more importantly, grow your life. Get ready for another game-changing episode. If you want to learn how to master your day and become a productivity monster, download Greg's free guide on daily personal productivity for free at www.pavetheday.com. That's Pave the Day, spelled DAY.com. Now it's time for today's episode. Enjoy.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Pave the Way Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Helbeck. I'm here with Lawton Makovec out of Wichita, Kansas, and today we're going to get into his business and what he's doing to crush it in the real estate market in 2021. And if people are listening right now and they're like, what the hell's in your background, Greg? Got the house cleaners over right now, and they're finishing up here. So I'm actually taking this one from the couch because they're cleaning my office. So excuse the noise, and guarantee you'll still get some value. So yeah, man, welcome to the show. Happy to have you on.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, man, thanks for having me. That sounds like a champagne problem, man. You had to move from your office to your couch because the housekeeper's there. It's a rough life. It's a rough life.
Yeah. I keep the house clean, but I always like to have it a little bit cleaner. So I like when they come once a month and they make it nice and sparkly. And you know, it's part of the game. That's why we do.
I understand that. That's the best piece of marriage advice I ever got. Someone told me a long time ago to hire a house cleaner. And so when my wife and I got married, before we got married and we lived together, we had a housekeeper, and we've never thought about who needs to vacuum or dust or do what. It just happens. So it's great.
Exactly.
Love that.
That's right.
Love that.
Absolutely, man. So how'd you get started in real estate, man? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Sure. So I graduated high school in 2015. So I just turned 25 just a couple months ago, this August of this year. So out of high school, immediately I moved to Wichita, where I live now.
Where'd you move from?
I moved from Gossel, Kansas. It's a really, really small town, about an hour north of Wichita. I had 14 kids in my senior class.
Oh my gosh.
So really, 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 really small. And I always wanted to go into real estate, architecture, and like TV shows and, you know, $1 million listing LA, like all the stuff. I would watch that stuff in high school. And I just always wanted to go into real estate. I was a bad student. I was a bad employee. Like I knew I had to do my own thing. I knew I was an entrepreneur, and I knew I wanted to do something entrepreneurial in real estate. I didn't know that I wanted to be a real estate agent or a real estate investor, but I wanted to have my own business in real estate. So I moved to Wichita. I graduated high school on a Saturday and moved to Wichita on a Tuesday. So I got the F out of Gossel, Kansas, because there's 400 people in the whole town. Not a lot of real estate deals being done up there. So I got the F out of there and moved to Wichita, the big city. We got about 500,000 metro population. So that was the big city for me then. So I moved here and partnered up, or I started as an intern for my now business partner. And I was an agent. I cut my teeth as a residential agent for the first 4 years of my career. And inside those first 4 years, went from interning for my now business partner to he and I partnering up and starting a team under another brokerage. And we grew that from 15 million to about 45 million in those 3 years. And then we actually went on our own and evolved into an independent brokerage last July of 2020. So middle of the pandemic, decided to bust off and do our own thing. And yeah, we'll do about 60 million this year and probably hover around there on the brokerage arm. And 2 years ago, I started to scale myself out of the agency world so I could invest with more of my time. Started flipping houses around that time. And since then, I've been involved in hundreds of deals across wholesaling and flipping, all in Wichita.
That's awesome, man. Now, what are the price points in like Wichita, Kansas? That's great.
Average price point, I think our local MLS statistics was hotter there for a while. everywhere was because of interest rates and inventory, but I think it got as high as like 200. So somewhere in that 160 to 200 is the average in Wichita.
Okay. That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations. I mean, you're a young guy freaking doing big things. You graduated high school in 2015, you said?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable, man. You're younger than me and you're doing big things. So let me ask you this now, when it came to shifting into the flipping business and wholesaling business, have you decided to also keep rentals, or are you guys just doing, fixes and wholesales?
So I would say over the 2 years ago, it was all flips, no wholesales. And we got really sick and tired of having to buy our houses from the wholesalers here in Wichita. Every experience I had, and we bought a lot from everybody in town. We tasted from everybody, and every single experience, like until we were at the closing table and I got a copy of the deed, like we own this house now. I never knew if we were going to close, ever. I was like, no one kept me updated. No one ever told me anything. I just, hey, we're closing next Wednesday. And I'm like, I guess I'll get a check. Okay, let's roll. I hope everything is right. And so we'd get there, and I mean, I would have contractor crews. We'd have to delay. We didn't close on time. It was just it was a shit show. Pardon my French. But all of that was, we decided to start doing our own direct mail so that we could buy our own flips, no middleman, and that we could control our inventory, so to speak, a little bit more than relying on other wholesalers to bring us deals. We were just going to go direct. We didn't want to wholesale. We didn't know anything about it. We didn't want to get involved in it. We just wanted to stay true to and disciplined to what we knew that we were good at, what we had built and scaled a business around, and that was flipping houses and buying rentals. And so we were going to do that just so we could acquire more of our own inventory. And we started some direct mail, didn't know anything about it, wasn't tracking anything. We were just testing it out, seeing how it happened. And we bought a flip in the first 2 weeks. And within the first 30 days, we had accidentally done $38,000 in assignment fees. So we decided to make that a business because something's right here. We can work with that math. And it's just scaled up. That was last September. So just over a year ago, we've been wholesaling for a little over a year.
Now, are you just wholesaling now, or you're still flipping if the numbers make sense?
Still flipping. We've usually got one or two running at any given time, and they're $30,000 to $40,000 rehabs, so they're pretty heavy.
That's heavy in Kansas. That's like paint job out where I do business. That's funny. It's all
relative. In California, right?
Yeah, and in New York too. That's where I'm from.
You got to get to the Midwest rehabs, man. That's the place to be. Yeah. $40,000 to $50,000 rehab is pretty heavy. I mean, we've done one before that was 120.
Okay,
that was
that's a real rehab.
Gut job, new. I mean, that was we essentially rebuilt that thing.
Yeah, it was at that point,
and it was a fourplex. So we really rebuilt it, but. Nonetheless, we like to keep one or two going at any given time. And we've built the machine, so to speak. We have all the infrastructure to flip houses, for lack of a better term, with ease. As long as finding the deal is the hardest part, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So when we come across those deals, it's like, let's get it funded, let's rehab it, sell it, make money. And then we wholesale everything else. And we keep rentals. We've got, I think, 11 doors right now, 10 or 11, one of the two. There's a fourplex in there and a duplex, so it kind of messes up my numbers. Yeah, I think it's 10 or 11 doors.
It's tough to keep rentals in this market because of the prices. You see the appreciation.
It is, man. It's tough.
Yeah, it's like you got that equity on paper, but you're like, I can cash this thing out and put 90 grand in my pocket, and I can use that 90 grand to go make another 90 grand in 90 days.
That's later. That's what I'm saying. That's the struggle, man. But it's just like a housekeeper cleaning your office. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. I'm back in the office now. If people are watching the YouTube video, they saw the journey from my couch to my my office now. So let's get into some of the nuts and bolts now. Like, what is like the volume now at this point in time look like on a monthly basis if you count wholesaling and flips?
Strictly looking at wholesaling, we'll probably do 150 assignments in Wichita this year.
Holy shit. That's crazy. Just in one market?
Yeah, just in Wichita. So we started last September and we're on pace to hit a million this year in assignment fees.
And is the primary source of those deals direct mail, or are you doing everything?
Direct mail and PPC. But I would say north of 70% of our deals comes from direct mail.
Yeah, me too. I love direct mail, and people always give it a hard time. I don't know why.
I know.
It works so well.
Yeah, I'm like, fine, you go do whatever else you think works, but leave me to my own devices. I'm just the idiot that's doing direct mail.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, the thing about direct mail I realized is that you can target where you want to buy. So when you get the leads that come in, they're in areas that you already want to buy in, or else you wouldn't have had them on your list. And then for some reason, when they're calling you, even if it's just a postcard, as these people say, they're still calling you. They're taking the time to call a postcard or a letter and say, hey, I got your letter. I do want to sell. It's in an area where you want to buy, or else you wouldn't have mailed them. And it's a much easier conversation. I do texting and cold calling and all that, and that works. But you have to do more work to get those leads.
Yeah.
In direct mail, they come to you. You know what I mean?
For me, we've never done any outbound cold calling. Everything we've done since the start, I learned the lesson the hard way as an agent, where you can only be in one spot at one time, showing one house, one person. Like the key to any successful business, and I was fortunate to learn that when I was 20, was you've got to build everything from the jump to be able to scale, or you're going to later on, you're going to have to take steps back to get to that point. So when I branched out and started this flipping piece of it that eventually evolved into this, all the same business, 2 years ago, everything we've done since then and everything we continue to do, like it has to pass the, is it scalable test? And if it doesn't, then we don't do it. It's very simple. So we've never done any cold calling because you can only be on the phone at one time with one person. We've instead, we've reinvested that into different avenues of outbound marketing or deal flow and things like that. And we've got a pretty aggressive follow-up campaigns with sellers that, were not right now, like they get different pieces in the mail every X amount. Like there's a lot of different triggers that we've built internally to really make it a follow-up machine. Like we're talking handwritten letters and all kinds of different stuff that we're doing every week to, people that we went on appointments with, thank you for taking the time, and, a gift card or something like that. There's a lot of different ways that you can scale things like that that have a much more lasting impact. Like for us, it's much more about disqualifying the leads we have than trying to qualify the ones that, like, this is a square peg in a round hole. Like it's just not gonna happen. It might be a deal if it's raining on a Tuesday in March and the seller decides to wake up and realize that we can't pay them $2 million for this house that's worth 50 grand. Like, stop trying to stretch and make these deals happen. Like, take the warm leads you already went on appointments with. You've already built rapport with these people, and it wasn't a good fit. It was price, or it was timing, or it was something. Focus your energy on the ones you've already spent the money to acquire that lead. That money's already spent. Do something with that lead. So we've poured a lot of resources and man hours and dollars into follow-up campaigns for that purpose of taking leads we're already working with. We have lukewarm, cool, kind of, like not even cold, just cool, but turning them warmer and warmer and warmer. We've already got their number. We know the address. We've already talked to them. We found a lot more success in focusing our efforts on scaling things like that than trying to chase down, shiny object. Let's do cold calls or ringless voicemail or SMS blasts or, all of these different things. And laws are always changing, and privacy, and, do not call. Like, there's just exposure with those things. There's no exposure with sending somebody a handwritten postcard in the mail.
No, and it's that, like you said, that's a scalable thing that you can just spend more money and you're going to get more leads. It's not like you have to change the system. No, that's smart, man. How many direct mail pieces are you guys sending on a monthly basis now? I think we're averaging
around 16 or 17,000.
Okay. And that's providing, like, are you seeing, like, I'll give you an example. And my markets are pretty crazy, like expensive and competitive. So like I'm seeing like in between a 0.002 and 0.007 percent response rate on my mail.
Oh.
So like we get low response, but we get high quality leads. Like what are you seeing like in terms of like a, maybe the response rate if you have that, but like the amount of calls you should expect. What are you seeing on like a response rate? Because in the Midwest,
we track every single metric under the sun. That's my favorite thing. You know, it's how else do you make decisions about your business?
Exactly. Yeah.
So our response rate right now hovers around 8%.
8%?
Yeah.
How the hell are you doing that? That's unbelievable.
We spent my director of operations and I, when we first started, we knew, I mean, because all the mail houses, you know, they have their own, you know, yellow letter or third notice letter of like, we're going to foreclose. Like, we just knew that, you know, we ran those for the first 2 or 3 months just because we didn't know anything. And we were just kind of testing it to see if we could even do this direct mail thing. And our freaking response rate was like 22%. We got so many calls, but so many of them were like, F you, I'm not in foreclosure. Like, why are you sending me this sleazy postcard? And so we were like, there's gotta be a better way to do this. So we spent a ton of time, and I was in charge of the marketing at the brokerage. And like when it was a team still, like I did all the online and the copy and all that stuff. So I have a background, so to speak. I didn't go to college. So like, I don't have like an official title for marketing, but I understand it well enough. And I listen to a lot of podcasts and read a lot of books on, you know, consumer behavior. And I've been in the industry for a while. So we spent a lot of time designing a campaign and like different sequences, sure, of all these different postcards. And we custom designed the artwork and the image and the copy and revamped everything, and then gave it to our mail house and said, do not send any more of your templated stuff. We want you to send these. Can you send these? And there was some back and forth. They were like, we got to charge you a fee to set it up. I'm like, do it. Worth it. Like, we're getting too many leads and they're all dog shit. Like, like if we were to take out, and we calculated it once, like accounting for all the ones that are horrible, I think our true like net response rate was like 2.4.
Yeah, so I do that same thing in my business. There's the calls, and then there's the net leads I track, and that's
right. So right now, net leads that we're tracking is like 6.5%, because we still get calls of people that are like, this person doesn't live here anymore. Like, why are you sending mail to my dead uncle? Like, have some respect. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know that? So our net response rate is like 6.5, 6.8.
Dude, that's phenomenal, dude. That is ridiculous.
We're happy with it.
Yeah, that's really good, man. Keep doing that. My goodness, that's incredible. You guys, even Wichita, I'm sure that's a competitive market now, right? There's a bunch of investors in Wichita, right? It's not
there's
like
a ton of everybody's a real estate agent and investor, wholesaler. Everybody wears different hats here.
Do you have a lot of virtual people try to go into Wichita from other markets because they think it's easier?
We've got a couple that we've come across. Like, we will, you know, like we'll be talking to a seller and he's like, well, these guys from Arizona told me they would pay me X. And I'm like, take the offer, dude. Like, they've never seen this house. They don't know what they're buying. Take the offer. And 9 times out of 10, we'll get a call from that seller a couple of weeks later, because they're like, yeah, they sent their contractor over here and I guess they didn't know what they were buying. Like, would you guys still buy it? And we're like, yep, we'll take it. So we've got a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot. There's 3 or 4 people. There's some guys from Arizona, some guys from Florida, and I think a guy from Nebraska who every now and then pops up on the Facebook pages, or I get an email from him because I'm on all the lists or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't say there's near as many as markets that you're in. I would say that those would be markets that I'm sure everybody is just dying to get into California.
Yeah, it's crazy out here. I mean, the spreads are big, but yeah, it is a hyper competitive area. I like actually the competitive markets. And the reason being is when you do have a deal, you're going to make a crap ton of money on it because there's a lot of inventory.
Yeah, it's blue whales and blue gills. And we just happen to go after both. Like we did an assignment deal earlier this afternoon that's going to net us about $45,000.
Woo! That's big for Wichita.
So no, we're pumped about that. The biggest one we've done was 64 or 62, something
An
like
assignment in Wichita?
Yeah, that was a cool day. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Are you assigning that or are you double closing that? With something like that, I would double close in New York. You're assigning it.
That.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah. We've got enough expense on our outbound marketing and overhead that, it'll all wash out when it comes time for taxes. So
that's true. Well, the reason I'm saying is like in New York, for example, like if a buyer.
Oh, the seller would be able to see it.
Yeah, they get
separate HUDs. And we're a separate HUDs, yes, but I mean, they get a copy of everything after the fact. We're very, very transparent with our sellers. There's the We Buy Ugly Houses wholesaler that the general public and the sellers that we're all marketing to, because we're all going after the same subset of a subset of a subset of a subset of our general population. We're all going after the same people in Wichita. All your competition's going after the same people. Like there's not some niche new list that these people have never been marketed to before. So they're used to this, and they're used to talking to people that do business a certain way. And, there's kind of a sleazy reputation. We just wanted to do things differently. And, if that means we have to be transparent and lose a deal or not make as much money on a deal, so be it. But we're very transparent with our sellers. This is what we're doing. We're either going to purchase this ourselves as an investment property, a rental or a flip, or we're going to sell this contract. We're going to assign our contract to one of our partners who will buy it for the same thing. And it just really depends for us on the month, on access to capital, on human capital. How many contractors do we have to spare right now? How much hard money do we have access to right now? Do we have it tied up in other deals? It just varies month over month. But, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, however the chips fall on our end, you're getting X amount at the table.
Dude, that's how the way you got to be. I love how you said that. And that's a takeaway that the listeners can hear and be like, that's what you got to do at the end of the day. You got to be upfront with sellers. And that's why a lot of wholesalers have a bad reputation, is because they're not disclosing and they're not transparent. And when you're transparent, you can't lose, because the seller's either going to want to move forward with you or not. And if they're not, they might have a benefit anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would much rather find out that the seller doesn't want to move forward today than the day of closing when I'm supposed to make $30,000 and all of a sudden I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
I would much rather have never loved than to have loved and lost. So
now, what are you guys doing on the team? Like, what does your team look like? Because the marketing is great. We've covered that, but like, what does your team and your systems look like? Because with that type of volume, there's a lot of moving parts that obviously go through the system. Yeah.
So from a team perspective, I'm the CEO, and that's really just a title for me. I'm the wearer of many hats here, but I've got an awesome team of people. My director of operations, her name is Sam, and I introduce her to tons of people as my boss. If she says that I can get paid, I can get paid. If she writes a check, I sign it. Like, she runs the show without a doubt. We wouldn't be here without her. And then I've got Juliana. She's kind of a Sam Junior. She's an administrative assistant, or associate is her official title. She does all the title coordination, buyer seller coordination. We take that off of the title company's plate, just because they've got other clients and other files they have to service, and we don't want ours to get pushed to the back, or closing gets delayed for this reason or that reason. So we take all of the client buyer seller coordination in-house. Our investor buyers that we're assigning these deals to love it, because they don't have to get copies of leases or prorated rents and make sure the HUD is right and the title is right. They just know, after doing business with us a couple times, that you guys are going to let me know when I need to close, and I'll show up with a check and we'll be good. So our buyers love it. Sellers love it, of course. And then we've got 2 salespeople. We've got JD and Drew. There are sales guys here that do Wichita. We need 2 of them here to handle the volume. And they're busy a lot. And then we've got Joey on the team as well. We actually recently expanded into the Tulsa, Oklahoma market as a virtual market, and he's handling that. And we've been down there for about 90 days.
Okay. And how's that transition gone from going from into your local market into another market where you're not physically present?
It's certainly a different beast. And Joey does a lot of driving to Tulsa to meet with the sellers and meet with the buyers. And right now we know we've got to do that legwork in the beginning, build those relationships with some hyperactive buyers down there like we have up here, where Joey won't need to drive down to Tulsa to show the house. One of our buyers that we know is interested, because we sold him a house in this neighborhood last month. He can go over there, meet the seller on our behalf. We trust him not to
snake you out of it,
cut us, take us out of the deal. So it's heavy legwork on the front. Actually, initially in July, I think we went to Kansas City, June. We went to Kansas City as our first expansion market. And you want to talk about saturated, man, that place is unbelievable.
Is it? Kansas City, Missouri?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
It is so sad. There's so many wholesalers and investors. I couldn't keep it all straight.
Really? I didn't think that.
Maybe we were marketing in the wrong areas. I don't know. But all of the metrics that we track and everything that we do in Wichita, we just picked it up and tried to duplicate it up there. And it was chalk it up to tuition. It was a lesson learned. But, we have very strict parameters and very strict time allocations for if we're going to spend X in a new market, then we need to hit a certain X of return on that money in 90 days, or it's not a market for us.
Yeah, no, that's really smart how you do that, because that's where I see a lot of people get smoked is they don't begin with the end in mind, and they just start spending money, and it becomes.
And then they look up in 6 months and they're like, "We've lost how much?" And I'm like, "You dummy! How do you not know that?"
Yeah. Oh man, that's so freaking good. I want to end the show with something that obviously you really know well just by meeting you on this podcast, and I want to talk about KPIs and what KPIs you track in your business to make sure that everything is moving forward according to your expectations. And then obviously things that you look for that could be leading indicators of a problem. Sure. So let's just go, what are your high level KPIs that you look at it as a CEO?
So the things that we look at, for us, it really starts with our outbound marketing, because that's our number one driver. That's our entire driver of revenue. So we look at it like a funnel. You've got your total marketing impressions. How many mailers were sent out minus 4.2% to account for those that have been undelivered or returned to sender. That's about what we're averaging now, is 4.2% gets sent back to our PO box every month. So accounting for those, adding in any of your ancillary, your online, your SEO, your PPC, your Facebook, Instagram ads, whatever it is. How many eyeballs were on your ads? Then from there, how many leads did you get? Net leads. From there, how many appointments did you go on? Appointments to offers, offers to contracts, contracts to closing. And then out of that bottom of that funnel, once you have all of that, those are our marketing KPIs. And then from a business standpoint, we need to track cost per lead, cost per deal, and our average revenue per deal. So our average assignment fee. So that in our marketing, we know that every time we spend X, we make Y every time on average. So I had it explained to me at a real estate agency conference years ago, and it stuck with me because it's so good. I'm so happy to share this. If you think about your business like a slot machine, if I told you, Greg, let's say your average assignment, because you're in the Midwest and you play small ball like I do, is like 15,000. Okay.
That's a good assignment though in the Midwest. That's good.
It's a great assignment in the Midwest. I mean, that's good day. So let's say that you have to spend $5,000 to get that $15,000 deal. Okay. And that's 1,500 pieces of marketing, just for easy math. If I sat you down in front of a slot machine and said, every 1,500th time you pull this lever, it will pay you $15,000. You would sit there all day and just pull the lever, and then you'd rest and get the money and pull it again until you hit the other 1,500. But if you don't know that every 1,500, you're going to get to 700 and be like, dude, this is never going to work. This is so tiring, and it's going to be so easy to give up. But if you know, historically, every time we spend $5,000, we get 15 grand. Every time we spend $5,000, we get 15 grand. Every single time. So sit there and pull the lever on that slot machine. If you don't,
I love that.
If you don't know those metrics, you're making decisions on your business based on your gut or based on what you think is cool or what you heard on a podcast or what you saw on TikTok, whatever it is. And there's lots of different resources out there. You can learn a lot from a lot of people for $0, but you need to apply it and interpret it first, understand it, apply it to your business and see if it works. Track it, give yourself a goal and a time to hit that goal. And if you don't lie to yourself. Don't hang on to a loser, punt it, move on to the next thing. So many people are like, I'm going to give myself 90 days to hit 100,000 just for round numbers. And they'll get to 40,000 and be like, give me another 30 days. And they just keep pushing it off. And then they end up, like we talked about earlier, 6 months down the road, and they're like, how are we losing money? I'm like, how do you think, dummy? You have no idea what's going on in your own business. No one should know. You should be able to rattle off all of those numbers right away if you know your business. No one should know your business like you know. You should know those numbers inside and out. That's the heartbeat of your business.
I love
can rattle off every single one of our percentages and metrics right now.
Dude, that is amazing. And the listeners need to go back and rewind the last minute of what you just said and take it to heart, because that is how you really grow at the end of the day. Now, question for you, a follow-up question. Like, my cost per deal is $6,000 in New York. In San Diego, it's like $8,000. So what is the cost per deal in the Midwest on average for you guys?
Ours has been as high as, I think, 4,000. And that was in the beginning when we were just kind of using the templated marketing. It's very expensive to acquire a customer, to acquire a lead, yada, yada, yada. All those metrics, we really don't count those in our averages because we started December 1 of last year with a new marketing. That's when it hit and launched. And we're running about $2,000 a deal now.
That's phenomenal. Dude, that is phenomenal. I mean, you're spending what's your average assignment? 10, 12 grand? What do you guys?
11. Yeah.
11. Dude, that's a home run. You're spending 2 to make 11.
I don't hate it. That's why we're still in business.
I love it, man.
It's good. We like it and we're looking forward. I mean, we're nowhere near where I know the business can go and where my team and I can take it. So yes, it was a good first year, but we stay humble and then we stay hungry and we stay disciplined, laser focused. We don't try to get too wide and be like, oh, we crushed it in our first year. Let's go do this and do this and do this and do this. Let's just stay the course, stay disciplined, blinders on, an inch wide and a mile deep. We're in to what we're good at.
I love it, bro. I love it. I love your freaking energy too. I can feel your energy through the computer screen.
I got a lot of it, man. Real estate has absolutely changed my life. So, I love doing podcasts like this. I was actually at a local high school yesterday afternoon, and I spoke to all of them about entrepreneurship and how it's changed my life. Like, it's absolutely changed my entire life, my family's life. I got married about 1.5 years ago, and we had a baby. She just turned 1. Don't do the math. So it's absolutely changed the trajectory of where I ever thought I'd be at 25. And I'm 20, like, it's just the beginning. So for anybody out there who's nervous to get started or doesn't know really what their thing is. It doesn't have to be real estate. I imagine a lot of your listeners are real estate related, or they wouldn't have found your show. But I mean, even if you're just a fan of entrepreneurship and mindset, things like that, and you stumbled across this show, the best piece of advice I've ever been given and continue to give out all the time. If you ask them what's the one thing you tell every future entrepreneur or anybody that wants to get into sales or entrepreneurship or business of any kind, is find your passion and find a way to get paid for it.
I love it.
You'll
find your passion, find a way. I love it, dude. I love it, man. This has been a lot of fun. I want to respect your time. Keep this around 35 minutes. If people want to learn more about you and follow you or connect with you, or if you have anything to offer, what is the best way for them to get in the loop with you and what you got going on?
Sure. Anybody that's listening to this, you can text me. My number is 316-217-3538. And you can find me on Instagram at Lawton Makovec, LAWTON MAKOVEC, all one word. Same thing on Facebook. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, it's the same name. So if you guys have any questions or anything we didn't answer, or you just want to talk about real estate, there's my number. Just please text me. I get a million phone calls a day, and I try to get back to as many of them as I can. You'll get a way faster response if you just text me or DM me on something. So
I love it. We'll make sure we have that in the show notes, and Anna, my assistant, will put that in there. Man, Lawton, dude, really appreciate you coming on the show. I learned a lot. I really enjoyed talking with you. And man, I hope you have a great day. And thanks so much for being a guest on Pave the Way.
Of course, man. Anytime you want to have me back, I'm always down. I really appreciate your time today, Greg. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Pave the Way Podcast. We hope you got value from today's episode. Make sure you download Greg's free guide on daily personal productivity for free at www.pavetheday.com. That's Pave the Day, spelled DAY.com. If you have any questions or want to reach out, head over to www.pavethewaypodcast.com. We'll see you on the next episode.